річки золотистий лав. Розпочали стрільці українські, зорали там. А ми тую ярою ще річку візьмемо, а ми нашу славну Україну гей розвеселимо. А ми тую ярою ще річку візьмемо,
for peace. Yes, it is a fight for peace because Ukraine and the rest of the world are standing on the brink of war. Putin does not care. He does not care about victims. He does not care about destruction. He is greedy. He is brainwashed imperialist who just wants more land. He doesn't care what is happening in Ukraine. He doesn't know what is happening in Ukraine. He's spreading lies about Ukrainians, about what is happening in our country. We have created a historical event because we overthrew a corrupt government, a president that flee from our country. No one actually threatened him. He just left because he's a coward. And today we want peace in our country, and that's why we go to the consulates of every country that promised to support us, to support the integrity of our territory and the peace in our land, and we ask them to show their support and to continue supporting Ukrainians and their
Молодці! 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 Молодці!
My name is Christina Niedra. On behalf of the Latvian National Federation of Canada, the Latvian National Youth Association, and the Baltic Federation, we bring you sincere greetings from our community. We are here to support the Ukrainian nation in its struggle for freedom, independence, and democracy. Our parents and grandparents endured the horrors of war and illegal occupation by Russia. The free world must not let history repeat itself. The free world must not let history repeat itself. We have a common cause with the Ukrainian people. Владзіво Україна! Владзіво Україну таута! Слава Україні!
Latvia and Ukraine! 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 This is an example of brotherhood. These are brothers and sisters who support us. They say we support you instead of coming with boots and soldiers to our land and say they're there to protect us.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody who's here today with us. And I'd like to remind that Crimean Tatars, they have the right to remain on their territory, free of Russian rule. Today, we gather here to show that international community does not approve of fake referendum which Kremlin imposed on Crimea. We stand united. We stand united for our brothers and sisters in Crimea, and we would like to demonstrate to Moscow that it has no right to simply transfer the Ukrainian region under Russian rule. There are 80,000 armed men in Crimea sent by Putin. The planes are continue landing on our land, and Putin's aggression will not be tolerated. International community will not be blinded by Kremlin's propaganda. It will not mask the aggression of this fake referendum, and we will not approve of Russian Soviet tactics. Tatars, they suffered in the hands of Russian rule before, as they were prosecuted and persecuted by Russian seized Crimea in 18th century. It happened again when Stalin deported them to Central Asia during the Second World War. This absurd cannot be repeated. We cannot let injustice planned by Russia continue. The Crimean Tatars today, they're asking for our help, international community's help, and we won't let them down. Today, and other day, every other day this crisis is continuing, we will stand united. We will continue picketing the Russian consulate here in Toronto by Blue Church. Come with us and say no to Russian aggression. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава! Putin! Hands off Ukraine! Putin! Hands off Ukraine! Putin! Hands off Ukraine!
Putin! Hands off Ukraine! Putin!
Hands off Ukraine!
Crimea is Ukraine! Crimea is Ukraine! Crimea is Ukraine! Crimea is Ukraine! Crimea is Ukraine! Crimea is Ukraine!
United we stand, divided we fall. United we stand, divided we fall. United we stand, divided we fall. Слава Україні! Друзі, ми стоїмо тут, аби підтримати Україну. Сьогодні референдум, який ми не визнаємо. We're not recognizing the referendum that's happening today. All of the communities that are here with us today are not recognizing the referendum. None of the nations that live in Ukraine recognize the referendum. I would like to invite to say a few words one of our friends who's always with us. His name is Kostya Man. Please welcome him.
Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Дорогі друзі, сьогодні ми всі з вами почули зранку, що Росія наклала вето на резолюцію, яку пропонували 13 країн у Раді безпеки ООН. Вони наклали то вето, аби заборонити санкції проти них. Сьогодні ми з вами вимагаємо, щоб кожна країна світу прийшла на допомогу Україні і пояснила, які санкції до яких санкцій вони прийдуть. Ми всі з вами знаємо, які підсумки будуть з того референдуму, який зараз відбувається у Криму. Там всі вже голосують за те, щоб Крим був частиною Росії. Наше з вами завдання цього ніколи не дозволити. Тому ми разом сьогодні з вами. Говорив Сократ, сказав Сократ так, що говори, і я тебе побачу. Може, сьогодні британське консульство та американське консульство нас не бачать, але я хочу, щоб вони нас почули, щоб вони почули наш голос. Голос нашого звернення до них. Нехай вони прийдуть на допомогу нам, аби зберегти цілісність України. У чому різниця між Путіним та Гітлером? Гітлер ніколи не був мультимільярдером, а Путін є. І є ще одна різниця. Гітлер намагався захопити світ з заходу на схід, а Путін зараз намагається це зробити зі сходу на захід.
Ганьба!
Ганьба! Тому ми хочемо, щоб ви всі зрозуміли сьогодні, що сьогодні це Крим, а завтра може бути Аляска, завтра може бути Канада і Німеччина та інші країни. Тому ми просимо всі країни світу, підтримуйте нас і разом переможемо. Дякую вам.
I would like to invite to say a few words, a representative of Belarusian community, Valentina Shevchenko. Please welcome her.
Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Дорогие сябры, я не ведаю, якой мове размаўляць, на ангельскай ці беларускай. Я вельмі спадзяюся, што вы зможаце зразумець мяне, калі я размаўляю на беларускай мове. Ці разумееце вы мяне? Мне вельмі прыемна бачыць тут столькі знаёмых твараў. Тыя, што я бачыла тыдзень таму, 2 тыдні таму. Мы вельмі удзячныя вам, што вы праводзіце гэтыя акцыі. На жаль, Беларусь страціла сваю незалежнасць шмат часоў таму. І мы ведаем цану гэтага рэферэндуму. Гэта ўжо было на Беларусі. Калі прыехалі нашы расійскія госці, калі правялі рэферэндум не пытаючыся, і адну ноч беларусы апынуліся неяк як у Беларусі, але ж ужо не ў Беларусі. Гэта балюча нам, гэта баліць. І я спадзяюся, што разам мы ўсе зможам зрабіць так, каб гэта не здарылася з усёй Украінай. Каб Украіна стаяла адна, цэлая, недзялімая. Каб будучыня украінскага народу вырашалася самім народам, не кімсьці там, хто прыйшоў, хто яны думаюць, яны самыя вумныя, самыя вялікія. А мы тут маларосы, а мы тут беларосы, а яны великаросы. Не, мы беларусы, мы украінцы, мы рускія, але ж мы кожны паважаем адзін аднаго. І мы не павінны слухаць то, што кажа наш урад. Таму што урад гэта не людзі. Людзі гэта мы! І калісьці 16-20 гадоў таму я на мітынгах у Беларусі крычала «ганьба», што па-беларуску таксама азначае пазор ці шэйм. Таму я кажу зараз сказаць «ганьба, Путін! Ганьба! 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 Сёння у нашай царкве была служба, і мы молились за украінскі народ. Мы молились за беларускі народ і украінскі, за тых, хто загінуў. І мне хочацца сказаць вечная памяць тым, хто ўжо адышоў ад нас у барацьбе за свабоду украінскага і беларускага народу.
Герої не вмирають!
Слава героям! І скончыць хачу тым, што вельмі блізка мне да сэрца. Гэта нашы святыя словы. Жыве Беларусь! Жыве Беларусь! Жыве Беларусь! Жыве Беларусь!
Thank you. For the first time today, we have a Tibetan community with us. Please welcome them. Молодці! 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 All right, now, everyone, please let the banners, the big banners out so that we can start walking again.
Crimea is Ukraine! 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 Is Ukraine!
stop is near Russian consulate. We want to tell Putin that he lost respect not only from Ukrainians and from the whole world, but Putin has lost respect from his own people who march in Moscow waving Ukrainian flags, Russian flags, because they were marching against the war. Putin cannot buy our respect with $15 billion. Putin cannot gain our respect at the point of the gun. He cannot make us give up our land. He cannot make Tatars to give their land away, even though he will make his soldiers pointing guns and have this fake referendum. No one recognizes this referendum. We don't. And Putin will not have Ukraine separated.
Sveiki. I'm here representing the Baltic Federation in Canada. You will recognize our flags at every event that you have. I told you on February 23rd that you would see the Lithuanian flag at every event. You have, and you will for as long as it takes, until we know that Ukraine is democracy again. We may not share a language, we may not share a border, but we share your pain. We share a history of Soviet occupation. We know what it means to fight for freedom, and we are here to help in every way that we can, and we believe that Ukraine will soon have its destiny, and Putin will have hands off. Putin, hands off Ukraine!
Putin, hands off Ukraine! Putin, hands off Ukraine! Putin, hands off Ukraine! Putin, hands off Ukraine!
Зараз я хотіла би запросити представника російської громади, який зараз буде говорити біля російського посольства, показати, що Путін не є президентом всієї Росії. I would like to invite Ivan Yushin to the word.
Dear friends, drugi, I understand that our meeting, as well as all our rallies which are running all around the globe today, tomorrow, yesterday, wouldn't change mind of delusional person in Kremlin. And we can't send psychiatrists to Putin or to his minions. What could we do? We could call for Canadian government, the Parliament of Canada, for visa ban, visa restriction for all Russian officials, for all members of Russian Parliament who vote towards invasion into Ukraine, to oppress freedom of speech, freedom of assembly guaranteed by Russian Constitution. What we are calling to put them on visa restriction for all Western democratic countries. They could stay inside Russia. They could travel to Northern Korea. They could keep their assets in Cuba. But they should be banned from all free world. And then it's the only way we could stop them. We could stop them from running into World War III, which we're trying to do. It was 1935 when Nazi Germany passed Nuremberg laws, and world didn't bother because nobody knows what would come next. And American corporations collaborated with German ones, and German officers had studied in Soviet military academies. And then came 1938, and USA, England, France, and Munich agreed to give up Sudetenland. And what happened next? The very next year, Germans started World War II by attacking of Poland. And then it came it came France and the rest of Europe. What we came here because Crimean situation, because of invasion of Russian army. It's Russian army. It doesn't matter, they don't have their flags and their ranks, they're still a Russian army. And West had very weak and very uninterested response to Russian invasion in Georgia at 2008. West was silent when Russian political parties were censored, oppressed. Then country has no opposite voice which could be heard by people. People manipulated, people brainwashed. Now what we have in Russia, majority of people so brainwashed, they're willing to kill their neighbors, their friends, their brothers. It's terrible, and we can't do nothing. But we could keep this craziness, this madness in their own border. Let's send letters, emails, ring phones to your member of parliament. We could do it in all Western countries. We could call USA. We already started to do it. We have a Magnitsky Act, it's Bill C-339, which is pending in Canadian Parliament since 2011. We could ban them. We could punish them. It's the only way we could provide feedback to tyrant. He doesn't understand, he's delusional. And his minions saying to him only what he wants to hear. But now, if we have to stay there, if we will be deprived from their own stolen assets we keep in Europe and all around the globe, we have kind of feedback from reality. And we could do it. We didn't do it consistently for last few years. But if we start now, if everyone here ask friends, relatives, contact member of parliament of your district, your representative, we could send our message to Canadian government, Canadian parliament. We have relatives, friends in United States, in Europe. We could do the same. And then we could call for free Crimea, free Ukraine, free Russia, free Europe. Otherwise, our inaction will have very high cost. Thank you. Free Ukraine.
Sanctions now! 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 Шановні, to all our friends who
have joined us here today, and there are so many more today than ever before, which tells us how serious and how grave the situation is, not only in Crimea, not only in Ukraine, but for the Baltic nations, for the Polish nations, for all neighbors of Russia, because Putin thinks that he can rebuild his evil empire, to which we say, no more empire! 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 No more empire!
No more empire!
And,
No more empire!
and I just want to call upon all of you. We have brave reporters, young reporters on independent TV who are going behind the lines to film what's taking place, to show the illegal acts. They're being abducted, they're being kidnapped, they're being beaten, their cameras are being destroyed. They're even attacking Western journalists, but afraid to create an international incident, they tend to let them go. Now they've even touched priests. They kidnapped a priest yesterday, let him go this morning, but held him for 7 hours against his will. When they turn against our nations and they turn against God, we know we're dealing with the devil. Putin is the devil, and we say, Putin, out of Ukraine. Putin, out of Ukraine. Putin,
Out of Ukraine! Putin! Out of Ukraine! Putin! Out of Ukraine!
And let me just say, those brave young reporters who are going behind the lines are writing to us right now and saying, can you guys send us some money to buy new cameras? Because we're willing to go back behind the lines. We're willing to report on the truth, but we need some help. We need help to share the truth so we can expose Putin for the lies that he's spreading all over Ukraine. He's telling us that people are against each other. He has sent his thugs into Ukraine to start a war. He has sent his thugs into Ukraine to start enemies, making enemies of people. He wants the Ukrainians and the Russians to fight, and the Tatars and the Russians to fight. And before this, everyone was living in peace. So we need to support those reporters and those organizations who are brave enough behind the lines to stand up. And they're standing up, and we need you to help us today financially. We have 4 people walking around with these little boxes, and only they are authorized to collect monies on behalf of our community. And our money will go to help these young people in Ukraine who are not afraid, because they're standing up to Putin and they're saying, Putin, no more lies. Putin,
No more lies! Putin! No more lies! Putin! No more lies!
Putin,
No more lies!
So we ask you once again to give 10, 20, 50, 100, whatever you can to help them, because there is so much need and there's just not enough to go around, and they're calling us every day. So please help them. Slava Україні! Slava Україні! Slava Україні!
Thanks so much. Slava Ukraini! Slava Ukraini! Now, in addition to the terrible news that we've heard from Crimea today, the Baltics also have some terrible news that has come through. In Lithuania, the port of Klaipėda, which is just north of Kaliningrad, there are reports that Russia has imposed a complete economic embargo there. For the past 3 days, Russian state media has conducted a propaganda war, an anti-Latvian propaganda war against the Latvians. And Estonia has been experiencing cyber attacks on several websites over the past 3 days. So we are standing with you. Now, I just want to say one thing. You heard from Ivan Yushin. I want to send a message to Vladimir Putin and the staff of the consulate, who are definitely here somewhere. Right now in front of you here, you have an Estonian standing together with a Russian. Together. Together we're standing here in support and solidarity for Ukraine. Thank you. And with our brothers in Ukraine, brothers and sisters in Ukraine, we are saying, Putin, hands off Ukraine. Putin, hands off the Baltic states.
Putin! Hands off Ukraine! Hands off the Baltic states!
Putin, hands off Ukraine and the Baltic states!
Hands off the Baltic states! Hands off the Baltic states! Hands off the Baltic states!
Hands off the Baltic states! Hands off the Baltic states! Good for you. That's good for you.
Propaganda, information, ideas, or rumors deliberately spread widely to harm a person, group, movement, institution, or nation. We all that are here have experienced this phenomenon. I am incredibly proud that we are standing here together with one cause, fighting against one enemy. Ukraine has been the target of vicious propaganda by Vladimir Putin and Moscow. Let us set the record straight. The new Ukrainian government is fighting for a just Ukraine. They are fighting to uphold free speech, whereas Moscow is fighting to stop free speech. There is no Ukrainian versus Russian battle in Ukraine or Crimea. There was no talk of joining Russia and separating until Russian troops arrived in Crimea. Ironic, isn't it? Yeah. Half the people in Maidan spoke Russian. Religious leaders for the Jewish, Orthodox, Catholic, and Protestant religions are all in support of the Ukrainian government. Jewish leaders have come out and decided there is no anti-Jewish leadership in Ukraine. Please, let not the sacrifice made by the heroic patriots of the Maidan be in vain. The battle is only beginning. We ask that you keep coming to rallies, protests, and marches so that we can continue to fight against lies and misinformation. We are not against Russian people. We are against the lies that spew out of Putin's mouth and Moscow. Crimea is Ukraine. Let us not forget that.
Crimea is Ukraine. Crimea is Ukraine. Crimea is Ukraine. Crimea is Ukraine.
Crimea is Ukraine.
Crimea is Ukraine.
Slava Ukraini! Thank you everyone for being here and showing how people can work together. Thank you very much.
Hands off Ukraine! Putin! Hands off Ukraine! Putin! Hands off Ukraine! Putin! Hands off Ukraine! Putin! Hands off Ukraine! Putin!
We had a flash mob prepared. Not everyone could see because of so many people here, but here's a bulletin that is given to people or was given to people in Crimea today that gives only two choices: becoming a part of Russia now or becoming a part of Russia later. What kind of choice is that?
Never! Never! Never!
Never! Never! Never! Never! What kind of democracy is that? What kind of choice is that? And Putin says that Ukrainians oppress minorities in Ukraine? Never! Our religion, our culture has been oppressed for so many centuries that we would never do something like that to other nations and other peoples. So Putin can get out with his soldiers from Ukraine, because we will be living in peace and prosperity with all the people that are part and are members of Ukrainian community of our country. They are citizens of Ukraine. I would like to thank everyone, all the representatives of all the communities that came today and spoke and showed their support. We need to keep going. We need to keep fighting. It's informational war also. We spoke about propaganda, spreading lies that has been a tool of many wars, and we must not fall victim to that. We have a representative from Tatar community who would like to speak as well.
Yes, I am Crimean Tatar. You know what? I'm really proud to be Crimean Tatar. I'm really proud to be a part of Ukrainian family. We're really big family, and we should stay together. And I would like to say, now whole world knows that Crimean Tatar don't betray homeland. They don't betray homeland. And second message is, you know, as a mother, I would like to say, all politics, our children are not toys. Don't let Putin to kill our children. It's message for all politics. Don't let them to kill our children. Слава Україні!
Героям слава! Слава Україні! Thank you, Tatars! Thank you, Tatars! Thank you, Tatars! Thank you, Tatars! Thank you, Tatars!
I met with, when I was in Kyiv, I met with Mustafa Jamilov, who is the head of the Tatar community. And he was very worried, as am I, about the fate of the Tatars now with Crimea under occupation. It's very, very important for us to stand with the Tatars, who I feel are first in line to be repressed. And we must remember them and support them. They are so few, and they have been such great supporters of Ukraine. When I was in Kyiv last week, what I was struck by the most is the extent to which the revolution against Yanukovych was a democracy revolution. This was about human dignity and people standing up for the right to be free of this incredibly corrupt regime. It reminded me of Czechoslovakia in 1989. It was a bloody revolution, but at its core, it was a velvet revolution. And what I was so proud of as a Ukrainian Canadian when I was there was watching Ukraine come together. On February 25th, the city of Lviv, which we all know is a very Ukrainian-speaking city, held a Russian-speaking day. The mayor announced it, and the whole city spent the day speaking Russian. Right now, it is so important for Ukraine to be united. And as the Ukrainian Canadian diaspora, it is essential for us to support them in that unity. It is also essential for us to be grateful for the support Ukraine is getting from the world. I know the Polish community is here. We've heard from the Tatars, the Latvians, the Lithuanians, the Estonians. Дуже дякую вам. This is your struggle too. And what I was most grateful for was the demonstration in Moscow yesterday. Yes. Those people are very, very brave to be demonstrating in Putin's capital city, carrying Ukrainian flags. And the chant that we heard in the Maidan, Rossia vstavai, is very, very important for all of us. This week will be a decisive week. The referendum has happened. It was the result is a surprise to no one. And we will now see whether Putin will go even further. This is now a struggle not only for Ukraine, it's a struggle for the world, and it is essential that the Western democracies play a leading role. When I was in Kyiv, sometimes I think as Canadians, it's easy for us to think that maybe our country is too small to have a decisive voice. When I was in Kyiv, I was struck by the extent to which what Canada does was watched. The Ukrainian flag flying on Parliament Hill was shown on Ukrainian television every hour. Against Yanukovych's cronies were watched and listened to. So it's very important for us to be alert. This will be the crucial week. Дуже дякую. Слава Україні!
Хочу подякувати, що також є 9 осіб зі Східної України, які кожного дня приходили до цього посольства з прапором, зі знаками, які показували свою підтримку. Це кожного дня вони були тут. Не один раз на тиждень, не 2 рази на тиждень, а кожного дня. Тому моя безмежна повага таким людям. І всі молодці!
Молодці! Молодці! Молодці! Молодці! Молодці!
Також мені сказали, що в Торонто є розповсюджується комсомольська правда. Особливо я маю таку дуже особисту огиду до цієї газети. І тому яка пише дуже багато брехні і пліток, які розповсюджуються. Тому я дуже здивована, що навіть в Північній Америці та газета є. То просили в Старській казали, що є, то просили, як можете приїхати. Приберіть той бруд.
Ганьба! 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 Ганьба!
Good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. My name is Imam Omar. I'm from the neighboring city Brampton. I have very close friends and close ties with people from Ukraine, and I was asked to come here to show some words of support. I'm really happy that we as Canadians stand on a united platform with Ukraine, and we pray for the best. We know exactly what, especially when it comes to the Crimean Tatars, what they've had to go through and how they've had to rebuild their lives. And everyone knows who's been through that. No one ever wants to go through those situations and those circumstances again. And we just pray to God that God opens up the way of His mercy and He shows mercy on the people of Ukraine and protect them from any unfavorable conditions that may come their way. Thank you.
Right now, я би всіх попросила заспівати український гімн. Оркестр буде співати? Right now, we will be singing a Ukrainian anthem. Україна, і слава, і воля, українці, усміхнеться доля, згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй сторонці, душу тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття з козацького роду. Душу тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття з козацького роду. Зразу починаємо Києва. Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава!
Слава нації! Слава нації! Слава нації! Україна! Україна! Україна!
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, to patriot love
In all our sons' command, with glowing eyes we see the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Ukraine united, never be divided. Ukraine united, never be divided. Ukraine united, never be divided. Ukraine united, never be divided.
Наші добровольці